Well, now I see it. It says recording on mine.
It isn't? Okay. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Lexis. How are you?
Let's try this again. So many internet issues, whatever. We're not gonna mess with Mercury retrograde. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting today. I am a huge fan of yours and you've been so invaluable to my family.
Thank you. That's so kind of you to say. It's been wonderful working with you guys.
You're the best. And I think that you have a lot of great information that could be really helpful for a lot of families. So I'm excited about this. You've been a physical therapist for 19 years.
Yes.
No small deal.
Long time. No small deal. Feeling pretty old about now. Yep.
Yeah, since you were 5.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
You were 5.
Very advanced.
Okay. And now you have your own clinic.
Yes, I do. So I just opened it about 2 years ago, the brick and mortar clinic. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Can you give me a little look-see? I haven't been there in a while due to the
stay. Oh gosh, really?
Make a little flash. Just like a quickie.
Like, we don't want to make everyone dizzy.
No, we don't. Look at it. Look, she looks great. Oh, I haven't been there in so long. Did you get any pictures?
A new what?
New pictures?
I did get some new pictures. My niece, this is my favorite. You Are Beautiful. My nieces and nephews painted that one for me.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I love that.
You know, it's a good way to start the day. Everyone needs to hear it, right?
Yes, we do. An affirmation every day. I have this calendar actually that one of my babysitters bought me for my birthday. And it's every day is like a fuck comment. So it's like fuck this or like fuck hearts or whatever. And it
fuck
makes
cancer.
Every day. Fuck cancer. It's like
fuck seizures, all of them.
Fuck seizures, fuck all this. And it makes me smile. It's the little things for sure.
I love it.
I wanted to maybe start. I thought maybe a good way to start would be what led you to pursue a career in physical therapy?
So I myself was in physical therapy very early. In like 4th grade, I played basketball and I was in constant pain. My knees were always hurting me and I was going to all the doctors. The doctors didn't know what to do. They didn't know what was wrong. So eventually somebody said, I don't know, send her to physical therapy. And then the physical therapist, it was like I started taping my knees. I wore these knee braces. I had my exercises and my pain was gone. And I was like, I want to do that. And then, you know, this many years later, who knew it would actually stick? But I always liked numbers and science. And like, I thought about being a doctor, but I was like, you never get to spend time with people. And it was like, I wanted to be with people as they got better, that sort of thing.
I love that. And I see that too with my daughter, with Ava, in the way that you sort of integrate all of these things, the medicine, the physical therapy, it's like a holistic approach to her care, and it's individualized care. And how long have you been with us? For
4 years?
4 years? I think 4 years.
4 years.
Starting at in-home therapy too.
Yeah.
And you have a really incredible way of bringing in just, you know, everyday household items to her therapy sessions and like reinventing something and igniting some form of excitement around, you know, maybe a stretch or an exercise that's tough for her. And that's a gift.
Well, and I think that is one of the things I miss about doing home visits. I don't miss driving around in Chicago traffic.
No.
But
or how I never
you had to be able to figure it out with what was there. I mean, I had my bag of tricks that I brought in, but it was like had an idea and it was like, what can I use? What can I use? Like, it really forces you to be creative, and like, not every family has every piece of equipment. So it's like, you've got to, like, what do you have? What can we make work? And the kids figure it out too. Like, they'll start doing something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have never thought of that. Like, this is amazing. Now I'm using that in my next session.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
remote at my house. Remember how we would cause like a diversion to get her
Oh yeah.
to stretch a little bit longer when she really
Just
needed
step it a little further away.
to.
You got to find out what motivates kids because it's like it's all about the motivation. If they're not motivated,
It's
we're
not
not
happening.
forcing anything to happen.
It's not happening. But our team in particular of, you know, you and Diane and the way that you work together and finding these creative ways that make it feel like play for her
Yeah.
has really been, I think, what is the most successful part of it is that she feels like she's playing with you. You're a friend. When you would come over and say, you know, Kelly's here to hang out and Kelly's here to play, and that, and you keep that true. It
Yeah.
is.
And I love when people phrase it like that. Like, I don't want kids to be thinking we're doing work. Like, I'd always, like, I'm here to play. Like, I want to play this. I want to do this because it's got to be fun.
It's got to be fun. But then every time I think of you, I always think of that first time that I have the video of. I'm not going to cry. Don't make me cry. That first time that Ava walked in her walker by herself.
When you were on the stairs.
Yes.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
first time without any assistance in that walker, she walked across the kitchen by herself and
she squealed so I
squealed.
like can hear the squeal.
I squealed. Well, I was sobbing. But we will, I mean, and so the journey that it took to get to that moment, I think the tiny little breakthroughs we made
The little wins, Lex, the little wins.
wins, girlfriend. Those tiny little things, the stretches and the repeated exercises and making it feel like fun and play and the consistency in your coming to our house and just all the time that led up to that. I just get these flashes of it leading up to that moment. And that was years ago. I mean, now she's walking on the treadmill with you for what was the record last week?
8 minutes.
I mean,
Yep. Yeah, it's awesome. And I mean, the biggest thing is just like I can hear that squeal she made because she knew she could do it. And like when she's on the treadmill and she'll ask me like, how many minutes is it? Like,
yeah.
She's so proud. And then it's just like that's everything, you know.
When it's everything. I love when she's like, let's go a little faster.
She'll start. I'm like, okay.
A little faster. All right, girlfriend. I love that. It's such a combination of so many different things that made that moment possible. But the way that you celebrate it, you know, too, is it, and probably in what you're talking about with why you chose this path for physical therapy, to be along this journey with individuals, to be there when those moments happen.
Yep.
Makes perfect sense to me. From my experience as a mother, I feel that way. I mean, I don't have a shred of your skill, but I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from being in
Yeah, absolutely.
hundreds
You're
of
at least a
years.
physical therapy assistant, if nothing else. Come on.
I mean, I can do some things, but when it works and when it clicks, and to see her feel successful and to have that moment of independence, that breakthrough moment is just everything. Just exactly
Yep.
how you describe it. I love it. I wanted to also ask you, what's the hardest part of your job?
It'll piggyback onto that, I guess. I thought about this. And I think the hardest thing for me as a therapist is when I know a kid's working really hard and they're giving it all, and we have a goal and we're not getting it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like me having to be like, okay, what can I do? Like, did I set this goal too high? What is realistic? What can we change? Because it's like, I can see it sometimes in kids, and then when they're like, I'm trying, and I'm like, oh, it just like breaks your heart because you're like, yeah, you are trying, you are doing everything right. And then it's hard for me to know, like, did I set a goal too high? Did I not take all the proper steps? Like, what can I do? Because like, I always want to have that environment where if I set it up right, they're gonna have success. So like,
Yeah.
when we don't hit that goal, it's like heartbreaking. And it, you have to go back and like, all right, what can we do to get, because I'm one of those people too, where like, I think having hope is everything.
Yeah.
And like, if you give up hope, you're never going to get it. So it's like, okay, maybe I set that goal a little too high now, but like I've got to come up with a way. And like, what's the next step?
Mm-hmm.
What's our next little win on the way there? And let's focus on that step.
Mm-hmm.
To like, just break it down, bring it back to like more achievable goals, so that it's like we are hitting those goals. Because there's nothing worse than seeing a kid who looks like they like feel bad, like they failed me, and I'm like, I failed you, like you're good. Like,
the fact that you think of it that way, I think, is one of the many things that makes you so incredible at what you do. And I had a terrible experience trying to find a physical therapist before I found you, and I stalked you down. But don't you think there's something to because this is relatable for me, even I set really high goals for myself. I'm really hard on myself. And then I'm going to bed at night and I'm like, oh God, like I didn't meet it, or I did this many things, but not this many things. And that's all I can think of is about the things I didn't accomplish today. And in flipping that perspective, sometimes when I'm talking to Ava, or really any of my kids, when they're frustrated, Jonas was trying to ride a bike, and all, every single tiny to large milestone, to sometimes be able to sit down and say, this is hard.
And it's like, we as humans have this innate ability to focus on what we didn't do.
Yeah.
And it's like, kids are such a good reminder to ourselves, the lessons we need to learn too. Like, no, we need to focus on what we did. Mm-hmm. And what we didn't do, we can do that another time. We'll get there.
But like,
exactly. Not if we focus on it all the time, but it's like, let's focus on what we can do,
And also what we have done.
Yes.
When Ava says to me, I haven't, but I can't do this. I'm like, sister, last year you couldn't even take the top off of the marker. You couldn't do that. Now look at you, pop every top off and pop it back.
Drawing ballerinas, drawing snowmen all by myself.
Yeah. I mean, so instead of thinking about what you can't do in this moment, just know that you can. Because I have seen you, if you need a witness to your life, who's seen you make every single goal along this journey so far. You've got this. And to flip that perspective, instead of I can't, look at what I have done. Therefore, if I continue this effort and practice and try, and I'm able to say some days, I'm talking to myself right now.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's the best thing is you're telling your kids, I'm telling my patients, I'm like, this is what I need to hear too.
I'm telling you what I need to hear too. But if we just keep that constant effort going and be able to say some days, this is hard, and try again tomorrow, that is also important. The success and being able to celebrate her when she has those huge moments, but those little ones where it feels like she's upset that she's not achieving a goal, or to know the full spectrum, I think, of the emotions along the way is so important, and to arm them with the tools to cope with those emotions, and that it is normal.
Totally.
And even though I hate that word, but it's like typical that we all like, whatever. What's another word?
Neurotypical.
I hate that word.
Get it out of here. But I think also the way I was trained was very medical, and you're not supposed to be involved with families. You're not supposed to get emotionally involved with your patients. Well, that doesn't work with kids. Like, it just doesn't. And on days when kids are having a hard time, it's like insurance doesn't want to pay me for doing, like, some days you have to meet them where they're at. And if we're having a rough day, like, maybe we just do something for fun for 10 minutes, redirect. Like, if we're constantly just like, no, this is what I have planned today, you don't have a say, we're not going to get anywhere. So it's like being able to say, you know what, building this rapport with my patient and letting them know, like, I care about you. I'm going to support you. I hear you. I see you. I think is so invaluable.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I don't think that's valued enough in Western medicine. But I mean,
I agree more. I couldn't agree more. And I saw it firsthand with Ava. I mean, I would tell you some days, especially when we went through that really difficult not sleeping phase.
yes.
And I would say to you, we had a night.
Yes.
It was a doozy. She's tired and she's cranky. And you know what? Let's just see what we can do. And your way was always just, let's, play at first. If we can get anything in, even if it's stretching or massage, or when with the tape or the cupping that you use, like these different forms of healing remedies and medicine. I mean, obviously you're still friends today, but would it have been that way if you weren't able to sometimes recognize that, yeah, we all have a day. We all sometimes are just like, we're just going to do the best we can today.
And you have to see your patients as people, not as like a goal to be achieved, or, like, here's what we're working on today. Because that's how I was trained. Like, you pick your goal, you set your exercises for the day, and that's what you do. Well, I learned really quickly with children, like, they're picking, and you better figure out how to creatively make it what you want to get, because
they're picking.
Yeah.
And it has to, you have to make it look like, I only know this from experience of being a mom of 4 kids. Like it's like the illusion of choice.
Exactly. 100%. You're in control.
You're totally in control. You made this decision.
Yeah.
But
you're convincing me we want to do it. Okay, I guess we can do this.
Yeah, there's really no other way with children. And I've never asked you this, the oldest patient you've ever had. So like your age range.
So I love the babies. Like, that's my specialty. Like 0 to 18 months. I love it. You can make such a big difference. But like, my oldest patient right now is 15, but I've been with him since he was 1. So like, so many of my older patients, I've been with them through the whole journey. So it's like I'm part of the family. I mean, it's
my family. So I can only imagine, plus, what would that be? Plus another, 11 years. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
That's
so
incredible.
And it's harder on my body to do the older kids, but like, I of course I'm staying with them. You know what I mean? Like, we've been on the journey together. We're going to finish it. Like, we're going to keep doing it till we can't do it anymore, So that's rare. I would say most 90% of my patients 8 and under.
Okay.
So for the
but still, I mean, Ava is 7, and she just, as of the last 6 months, I started to think, okay, I need to work out now. Like, I need to take working out myself more seriously and find the time, carve it out, because she's super tall and I love that. And it's so strong, but she's heavy. And I myself am trying to find new ways to get her out of bed where we can work together, and not bearing all of the weight myself, because I'm starting to hurt my back. And I can only imagine for you, when this is what you do all day.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through periods of time where I've had a lot of herniated discs and stuff. And what I will say is, you know, as a physical therapist, I'm trying to teach them good body mechanics, and I'm not following my own my own rules. So,
Wait,
you
that's so
know,
funny you said that, because the other day we were going up the stairs and I was like, hold your tummy tight. And then I was like,
well, yes. Who am I talking to? Me or
I'm
her?
going to do
Yep.
that too. I'm also
Exactly. And like the good news about that is that, like, as you become more aware and you're like, no, you got to do more,
Mhm.
she rises to the occasion and starts, she's like, okay, mom, like, I'll do more. You know, it's like, it's hard for parents because parents want to do everything for their kids, but
Mhm.
it's like this hidden like bonus because it's like, okay, I can't do it. You're gonna have to do it, and kids will always rise to the occasion.
And we
You
had a
know?
great chat, 100%. We had a really good talk about it when I first started to feel that back and neck pain. I just, in a quiet moment, it was the two of us, and I was getting her dressed, and you know how she would always do it. I mean, it made Diane crazy, her OT, that she wouldn't push her arm through her sleeve.
Yep.
She was waiting for you to do it, and she can do that. Where I said to her, I was like, listen, I I want to do as much for you as I possibly can every single minute of every day. But what I've become acutely aware of is that as you get bigger, it's hard on my body too. But what I'm taking away from you is your ability to do things yourself. And so how about we start, instead of just jumping straight to, I listened to this crazy podcast the other day about, it wasn't crazy, it was amazing, but their point was, you know, back in the day, a lot of families of children with disabilities would just put them in their room with their clothes and be like, figure it out because you can.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there could be probably some steps in the middle, but there's
There's a middle ground. There's a
we
middle
missed,
ground.
we missed some steps there, in my humble opinion. And obviously, I don't ever claim to be like, you know, an expert on this, but being able to level with her and say, you are capable of doing these things. At the
Mhm.
very least, I need you to do these things. We need to work together. I will
Yep.
do this. You need to do that. And
Yeah, it's a partnership.
as a partnership. And that's been really helpful, I think, for Ava and myself as well. But she gets excited about it. She's like, okay, you grab my clothes, and then we pull it over my head together, and you place, because you know it's hard for her to find her armhole with her
Armhole.
arm. So if you guide me to the armhole, she can put her arm through with
Yep.
just a little bit of effort from me, and we work together. And I should have, I mean, I know you told me to start that earlier. I think I did to a certain degree, but really lately, it's been not only a necessity because she is getting so big, but she's capable, and allowing her to, which she's like, I can't get my jeans on. I was like, yes, same. I couldn't get my jeans on yesterday. And that is not specific to you. Okay. Like, we all have moments where it's like, shoot, but maybe just a different pair of pants today.
Well, and it is, if we do everything for the kids, it takes away their ability to feel like they've achieved things.
Yep.
And I think that is a hard thing to impart to parents, because so many parents like want to show their love, they want to do it all, and it's like, if you're doing everything, what are you allowing them to like do and feel like proud of? Like, Ava will come in and tell me, like, because I used to see her on Monday, so it was always everything she did over the weekend.
Yeah.
But it's like she still comes in and tells me, like, I did that. Like, it's always like the first thing out of her mouth when she comes in is, I did whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, whoa, okay, tell me about, like, tell me more. Like, she's always proud, and you need to have those like moments and like celebrate it, and not just like, okay, let's start doing it. It's like, tell me more about it. What else happened? This is great, you know?
I love that. So I love that she tells you that. I can just hear her saying that too.
It's like Raluca doesn't even have her in the door yet, and she's like
so you
telling me, I'm
know.
like, okay.
Just so you know, I was incredible over the weekend. I just,
Yeah, like,
oh, I love it. But I think I always tried so hard to the best of my ability to treat all four of them the same with the same expectations, that you meet your fullest ability, that you at least try to where you're most capable. And that's been really important to me this whole time. And I think that is why she gets so excited. I celebrate each one of their wins
totally.
all the time. But it is hard to have, you know, three children who can get themselves dressed now, and then watch your fourth struggle.
Yeah.
And so I understand, and I deeply resonate with parents who don't want them to struggle.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
for me, whenever I feel that way, I try again to just flip the perspective to the things that she can do without struggle that are difficult for my other children. And that
I love
there's
that.
nothing wrong with a little struggle.
No, it's how we learn through struggle,
I'm right here. And that's what I always say to her. I'm right here. You try. I'm right here. And if you can't do it, then, then I'll help you do it. But I want, and part of that discussion that we had was and she's just, she's so smart. Now I'm going to cry. I just said, eventually someday, I think you would really like to get dressed by yourself. Right? And I mean, if I'm wrong, that's fine too. But am I right? Is that right? And she said, yeah, because, she's looking at her twin sister who, Stella, she's up every day at 6 a.m. She comes into my room when I have Billy and she's dressed. She's fully dressed.
She's like, I'm not letting my mom even think about picking out my clothes. I'm doing that.
I'm doing it. And she's fully dressed, and they share a room, Ava and Stella. So Ava sees that every day. And I can only imagine what that's like for her. So I say, with that goal in mind, this is how we start. Because I know someday you're going to get yourself dressed, but we have to start small. Putting your arms through the holes.
Exactly.
Pull things down. How do you pull them up? And using both hands and things around you for leverage to, to pull yourself up and all of that. It's the littlest things throughout every second of every day. And with that, I think she's found a lot of independence that makes her feel like, because she's always like, oh, I'm a big girl. I did this. I'm a big girl.
Yeah, you are.
She's 7. I remember being 7. That's legit. Yeah. Like, you remember that stuff. You feel like a big girl. You are. And I want her to have that. So that's been really helpful. I wonder though, what is it like with parents? So we talked about your patients, right? They're children, but I don't know what it's like to work with other parents. For me, with you, I was always like, tell me everything. Do I need tape? Do I need cups? Do I need massage? Tell me what to do?
Yeah.
What is it?
And there's that's always the wild card. It's the parents. Because some parents are like, I'll do all the things. And like, here's your homework for the week. Here's what we're doing. And other parents are like, you're going to take my kid for 1 hour a week and you can fix them. And I'm like, no one needs to be fixed. No one's broken.
Oh, fixed.
And
no.
It's like, if we want kids to do XYZ, like, you got to do it all the time. It's not just 1 hour. I mean, it's the same for you and I. If I did my exercises 1 hour a week in physical therapy, I wouldn't get better. Yeah. Like, I would still be in pain, which, let's be real, I've done this, even though I am a physical therapist and not done my own physical therapy. So I get it. I totally get it. But that can be the hardest part. And I have to be very careful because the kids are always around. A lot of times I want to talk to parents on the phone or talk about things when the kids aren't in earshot.
It's so important.
I don't because they're like, well, they looked terrible doing this. And I'm like, da, 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 da. Like, I don't want the kids hearing that. I don't want, like, you can text me after. We're not. And I think some parents are like, oh, right. And other parents are irritated, like, I don't have time to talk after the set. I want to talk now. But I think it's super important that in front of our patients, again, we are focusing on positives. We're not bringing up all the things we can't do, because like that's not helpful for anybody.
No, not for anybody, no matter what your ability is. And as you're talking, I keep having these flashbacks of like when you would leave me those awesome voicemails and you'd always say, sorry for the long voicemail.
Sorry for the long voicemail. But
I loved it because I would know it was coming and I would just take the notes. It was very detailed and exactly what I needed to hear. And I really appreciated that you separated that. While, even though we've already discussed, it's completely fine to say to a child, in my opinion, that yes, this is hard. We can't do it. Right.
I have my sign up. We can do hard things.
We can do hard things, but it takes a lot of steps to get there. We're not all, no matter what. That's why I keep referencing Jonas on the bicycle. It's like, you don't just hop on a bicycle and start getting away without training wheels and all of that. It takes a lot of practice and all the things. I think that knowledge applied to any of these scenarios is true, and that it's okay to say, you know what, today I didn't do it. Yeah. But I tried. And all of that is super awesome. But you just keep trying and someday you will be doing that. But whatever that thing is.
End goal, yeah.
But for parents, I don't think, okay, first of all, I have so many places I want to take this, but I'm like,
I don't mean to talk bad about any parents. I totally get all of it, but it's like, I'm trying to create this safe container here where it's like,
no, I think
do anything.
It needs to be said that parents are doing the best that they can.
100%.
Right? I can't stand when people are, they're looking at my children, they're running, there's 4 of them, they're running everywhere. Maybe they have like cookies on their face from the car ride over, and, I have the dirty kids or whatever. Parents are going to be judging each other no matter what, which I would like to just, let's just not do that. I think we're all doing the best we can. The point of this conversation is of any conversation, is to just shed light on the options and the reasons why we do things. And with your 19 years of experience, what you have found to be successful for your patients, there's, that I'm learning, I'm taking notes. I have a huge problem with fix them.
Agree.
That being said, I am not here for that at all.
That is something I will not. When parents are like, can you fix it? My immediate response is always, they're not broken.
They're not broken.
Because I felt that. Like as a kid, I also have another birth defect. And it was like, I had to have surgery to fix it. And it was like, fix, like that word. And maybe it's just my history, my whatever, but it was like, I felt broken and I needed to be fixed. And I know how that feels. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like it's my responsibility in my space that that my patients should not feel that way. And if anything, like I have to be so careful, we forget our words matter. Like there's one thing you can say to a kid and they can hang on to it.
Absolutely.
And I have to admit, early in my career, I was not as careful. And it's just like, when you know better, you do better. Like, I've become very conscious of that. And it's like, fix is just not one I'm here for.
Yes, we are done with that. We are not, but it's relatable. I think I would venture to say that maybe everybody has had a moment in their life. I don't care about eliminate disabilities or any physical, whatever.
Yeah, everyone's felt it.
I didn't know that I was numerically dyslexic until college.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I never caught that. Whoops. But I was doing fine. I was never I wasn't cum laude or whatever, but I did great in other classes and I worked my butt off, but I was failing math, and no one stopped to really look at the work I was doing. Like the equation looked correct. I was doing, the math correctly, but I was flipping numbers every once in a while and not ever getting the right answer. So I was failing math. And it wasn't until college that anyone brought it to my attention, but it was in such a way that I felt broken.
Yeah.
You have a learning disability, you're just like,
Well, I didn't even know I had
I
one.
didn't know. And by the way, thank you, because now I don't feel
Right.
now. I mean, I literally thought
Now it makes sense.
I was dumb, but I'm like, I'm trying, so I'm doing it step for step, but what am I? And now it makes sense. And there's so much relief in that. But I would venture to say that anyone has had a moment where they felt like broken, like there was a part of them, no matter what it was. And knowing that, we should really leave that behind and move forward without the whole fix it, it's broken thing.
And it's like, I don't blame parents or anything, but it's like, because this is society. I mean, in our society, there's this perfection that we're all just trying to get to, whatever. And I wasn't as good with my words when I was younger working, but it's like I have learned. And so it's like, if even one person is like, oh, right, I should not, then that's great. And like I said, like, I'm only responsible for like my clinic, my container. And like here, I just want everyone to feel that they are doing the best that they are capable of. And like,
right,
we're all achieving. And,
yeah.
And it's like, I want to, if we can change one person at a time, that we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be what society says. We're all perfect the way we are. And like, let's just be the best we can be with what we've got,
feel good in our bodies, and you know what I mean? And also be able to accept that we're not going to be able to do everything. Whenever Ava is like, what if I can't do that? I'm like, well, I had to accept I can't be an astronaut. Like, I just, we're not all going to be able to do.
I'm not going to be a prima ballerina. It's not in the cards.
Yeah, I could never do like a back handspring.
Me either.
I could barely do a cartwheel. But the point is, it really has to stop, this whole concept of these people have disabilities and these people don't. And like, what if we're all just people? What if it is that simple?
That simple.
You look like this, you look like that, you walk like this, you need that, I need this. But we're all just people. What if it's that simple? And I believe,
like, why can't it be?
It can be, but I think there's been, so I believe it can be. Oh my God, please let it be. I just please let it be.
No, that's when it's like,
can we let it go? Everybody's got something, honey.
100%. Some people's thing you may not be able to see on the outside, but they've got it.
We've talked about this before. And no one human being is without something that they need to overcome, be it, physical, emotional, neurological, health-wise, whatever. Everybody's got something. Even if you roll your feet in. Remember Jonas, when he was little, you roll your feet in a little bit, and the way that you walk can affect the rest of your body. It's like a technical thing, but everybody's got something. And the more I think we have these conversations and we share them with the rest of the world, to be able to just look at each other and be like, you're a person, I'm a person. We're just trying to get through our day.
Yeah.
This is our mode of transportation. This is like what I look like. It's really, life is already hard. Can we just,
Yeah, we don't need to make it harder for each other.
You're not any more broken than I am. We've all been through some shit.
Right?
let's just
But like wear it as a badge of honor too. Like I've been, don't be ashamed of your struggles. Be proud of them,
100%. The scars, the battle wounds, the whole thing. That's what I've always hated. And now I'm really going to derail a conversation, but I promise I'll bring it back. But that's what I've always hated about when people are like, oh, I don't like my birthday because I'm getting older or whatever. Like, what a gift. All I can ever think about when I have a birthday is so many people didn't make it to 38.
Yep.
I mean,
what people wouldn't give for that one more day.
People wouldn't give.
Yep.
Or whenever Ava says that she doesn't like walking with her walker, I have to remind her that not everybody gets to walk with a walker. They find another way. Or any of my kids in whatever it is that they're doing. Jonas lost a race the other day at school, and he was so bummed because he was the slowest person, he said, per his recollection. And he was mad about it. And I was like, well, I mean, one, if you want to be faster, you need practice.
Yeah.
Sometimes we lose,
Yeah.
And sometimes we're not the same as the other person or even equally matched or fair. It's not fair ever, is it?
Yeah. Never going to be perfectly fair. But I like that you didn't say, you recognize okay, you're sad about this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're not the fastest, but if it's important to you, here's what we can do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the perfect way of framing it. Because it's hey, if you're the slowest kid in the class, it doesn't bother me. I love you just the same. If that's something you want and that's important to you, well then great. You can practice. There are ways to make yourself better,
I had him run. It was amazing for bedtime. I had him running up and down. Well, that was a little bit slower, so I better go faster. You just have to blast down the hallway. Parent tip. Then he was exhausted. But if you think about it, all these conversations and all these topics, they really have so many factors in common. And I think a lot of it has to do with just accepting that not everything's going to come easily for anybody. A lot of it takes work, most of it, if not all of it. And
if we can have fun doing the work, that's the best.
We should just enjoy it. Just enjoy the ride. And that's what I told Jonas. That was the last thing I said. I said, did you congratulate the winner? Did you say, good job to the kid who won? And he said, no, because I was mad. And I said, Jonas, listen, sometimes we're going to lose. And you need to be gracious about that. You need to congratulate the person who won because sometimes you're going to win. And I want them to congratulate you.
Yeah.
But you really only get back what you put out there. So you go to them and you say, and then you go home and you practice. You want to be faster? but that kid that won is not going to say, good job, buddy, if you didn't do it for him. That's what I believe that. I hope that's true.
And hopefully he had fun. We gotta have fun.
And we all had a little fun. Okay, so I derailed the conversation. So for as far as it goes with parents, I don't know what it's like. It makes me sad to think that people would think of their child's situation as something that needed to be fixed.
And it's with kids, they're just so pure of heart.
Yeah.
Society hasn't told them yet what they need to be or what's wrong. So with them, it's just so easy to connect. Whereas with the parents, it's harder because each parent has their own story and how their life has been influenced. And maybe they had a parent who was tough on them and wanted them to be. So it's just kids, it's way more easy to predict what you're going to get. The parents, it takes a little more to figure out okay, here's what we've got. Like, how can I get them on board with my approach? Because I do think my approach may not be for everybody. Some people want exercises, goals, that. And like, if that's the case, I'm probably not your best choice, you know? So it's also like making sure I'm the best fit, you know?
Yeah, well, you are, and you're in high in demand, because if you remember, I left you, how many voicemails did I leave you before? Hi, Kelly, me again, just stuck in traffic. Thought I'd call and see if any spaces open up on your schedule. I'll just be stalking you for the next year and a half.
It was not a year and a half.
No, it wasn't, but it felt like a lifetime. And that's such an awesome outlook, to be able to say, if this is the way that you want to go about it, it's just not the way that I practice, you know, your form of medicine. How could you, in an environment where it doesn't feel natural, and to be able to remove yourself and let somebody else step in, that's also caring for your patients. In my eye, you know, that's also saying, this, maybe I'm not the best fit for you. Someone else.
Yeah.
Well,
and that was a journey. Like, when I was younger, I fit the mold for every person and what they wanted. And then it was like, this is too hard for me. So it was like, I had to figure out, what am I good at? How do I find the most success? And then I need to go with that, because I have to play to my strengths the same we have to play to our patient's strengths. So it's like, this is where I thrive. This is what I'm good at. So I'm gonna do this way and like hope people like it. But if they don't, like, I can't keep going out of like what's comfortable for me and what I'm good at, because it's not fair to anybody. It's not helpful.
Well, no, it's your formula, and it is also your life, right?
Yeah.
and then your daily experience. But I think with children specifically, being your patients, children they sense bullshit, you know.
Totally.
Like, you can't mess with children. They're like bees. They can smell fear. You like, yeah. You cannot, if you're not coming from a genuine, pure place, and especially if you're going to be like, I'm going to need you to do these stretches and exercises. Like, how, I can't imagine what that would be like. And then how many patients in a day do you have? And you do that time after time after time. That would be very difficult.
Yes. So we're all just finding, you know, what works best for us and
running with it, sister.
Yeah.
How many patients do you have now? So I know it's different with like whatever. I'm so tired of the word pandemic.
I know, it's rough. It's been rough, because I think
other words. So like how many do you have? I remember you having like 8. Was it 8?
I used to have 8 a day. And now with cleaning and everything, I can only have 6.
Yeah.
And the biggest change is, because I told you I love the babies. People are not bringing babies in.
Oh.
Because they're nervous, and like, there's a lot of pregnant women and they can't get the vaccine. And there's just so many unknowns that like, now my patient load is trending older, because people are more comfortable bringing older kids in, which is a bummer, because I miss those babies. And I know like there are babies out there who need therapy who aren't coming in.
That's why I just realized I've been holding my breath, because that was such a huge time for Ava, when she, like 5 months to 18 months.
I mean, it's when you can make so much progress, and it breaks my heart, because I've seen firsthand, you get somebody before bad habits and like things are created, it's so much easier.
Well, not just that, but from like a body structural standpoint, but with Ava, she had gnarly reflux.
Yes.
Just stretching her neck and strengthening the way that she could sit up helped so much.
Yeah.
All those exercises and stretches helped her so much at that age. And I completely forgot about that until just now.
Reflux is rough.
But also understanding that if I carried her, because I'm right-handed, on my left side all the time, then it would do something, you know, not great for her body alignment. It's
And
also
yours.
not great for mine. Yeah, exactly. So just like that one hot tip, maybe switch them from one side to the other, and
Yep.
whenever you can. And if they like to lay this way, switch them to the other way so that they have to turn their head. Little things you can do at home,
Yep.
especially in a moment like this in time. What would be your top like 5 hot, I don't know, is 5 a lot? What would be your top, what, I'm not going to throw a number on it. I'm not going to do that. What would be like top tips for parents of babies if they, you know, if they would otherwise be receiving physical therapy if they're at
So
home?
I would say biggest tip, tummy time, tummy time, tummy time. Even if they don't like it,
They
I
don't
feel
like,
like that's the biggest trend we see is babies don't like being on their tummy because it's reflux. They didn't do it early enough, whatever it is, and then they end up with all these muscle imbalances. The other thing to help with torticollis, like if you put your baby down, put their head at one end of the crib one night, flip it to the other end the next night. So flipping back and forth so that they're always looking, because when you approach the bed from the same side.
yeah, I did that. I forgot
um,
about it. Yeah, that's a great one.
and then I would say do not sit your baby unless they can sit on their own. So people are always propping the babies and then their posture is like this and gravity is just pushing them down. And it's like, I try and tell parents, don't sit your babies until they can do it on their own with good posture, because then we've got to go back and change how they sit.
Yep.
So it's like you're much better putting them on their bellies, letting them play till their muscles are balanced, and then doing it. Same with standing. Don't stand your kids until your kids can get into standing. Their ankles aren't strong enough. They're really wobbly. They start locking their joints. Like, development follows these like predictable milestones
Mm-hmm.
because they're building blocks on top of each other. And if you just take one of those building blocks out, it's like you're achieving the other ones, but not quite how we want it to happen. That makes sense. But
100%.
again, I think it's society. People are like, oh, is your baby crawling yet? Is your baby doing this yet? And so parents are like, oh, they're not doing this and they're this many months old. And I'm like, I don't care when they do it. Let's just have them do it right. Like, I'd rather them do everything correctly than rush something, you know? So yeah, tummy time,
Absolutely.
look both ways, no sitting or standing before they're ready.
And like the tummy time thing, I almost feel like I could use more of that. Like my neck issues, and you had the hottest tip when she was so little, when I would spread out 5 toys. Remember you told me this. So take like 5 or 3, whatever toy, just a couple little ones, hide them for a couple days. So they haven't seen them for a couple days.
Oh yeah,
Remember this? And then
bring them back out.
Ava did not like tummy time, and it would definitely make her spit up, and she was pissed as hell, But I'm mad when we have to do that in like yoga, that whole,
Yeah, it's hard.
it's hard. So I would put them out a little bit further out of her reach, and then also get on my stomach
Yeah.
and be
Well,
done.
that's the biggest thing is the toys you use in tummy time, because parents are like, oh, I put them down there and they didn't like it.
Because
And
they
then
have
I get out my little like
to go when they're sitting.
TV. Oh yeah, my friend one time was like, well, I put her down and I went and did the dishes. I was like, no, you gotta be there. You gotta play with them. She's like, oh.
No, but girl, I get it. I have 4 kids.
Totally.
You're trying to multitask your ass off. You're like,
100%.
anytime I'm gonna do the dishes, like you're gonna do your homework, you just boom, boom, boom. But there are
Yep.
certain things, especially at that age, and that was really helpful for me, because even if it was just a couple minutes at a time, if I just took even one thing, remember that one, what was that ball? It was like a shaky thing, it had like rings and numbers, and it was all primary colors. It's like a popular toy like this, but anyways, it would shake and rattle. And if I hid that for a couple days, I could take that down with her
And then she was
a little bit
motivated.
along, and she would stay there for at least a couple minutes, and then we just, would build on that. But That's really helpful. The switching arms thing was probably what saved my.
Yeah, that I would tell every mother. You don't realize you always have them on your non-dominant side, so you have your hand free to do everything. And mothers are always shocked when I'm like, "Oh, well, you always carry them on this side." They're like, "Oh, how'd you know?"
Because
Like every mother does it. It's just how we do it.
every mother does it. And
Yeah.
when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, it makes perfect sense, because I'll have back pain or neck pain on one side, and
Yep.
she's having the same situation. My son that was like 20 pounds, and even Billy was like 20 pounds at 4 months or something. If I
Yeah.
always carried them on my left hip and I'm cocking it up to hold them and do all
Yeah.
the things, that's not beneficial for anybody. So, but just being aware of that was hugely helpful for me,
Yeah.
I think. Oh, the babies. Oh, well, hopefully they get back in there soon. I think you've done a really good job, an incredible job, all of you, that from my experience with the teletherapy thing, it's whew,
It's tough.
whew.
I'm really glad to be back. I still have a few patients who I do telehealth with, but there's nothing beats in person. Like just the connection you get so different.
Well, and I think that we need that, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
okay, so I had a couple personal problems with teletherapy. I was grateful that you provided it, and everyone else, because I can only be creative with the stretches and the exercises to an extent when I'm going to need someone like you to tell me what else I could bring into play. And you remember that one time when we were adjusting her stander, and I was like, oh God, I'm like so nervous because you're on the computer and I have her in the stander, and I'm just like, I don't want to mess this up, because again, alignment,
Totally.
just like what we were talking about with, tummy time,
Yep.
alignment is so key. And I feel this enormous pressure to make sure that I don't fuck this up. And it's like I am not an equipment technician. I do have,
Well, and I mean,
we just on the top,
had to pivot because it's like, okay, well, we're not going to not use a stander for months.
right?
So we got to figure something out. Like something's going to be better than nothing. So we got to do something.
We're still rolling dice. And I'm like bringing the computer super close to the holes to see, remember? I'm like, you're like, do you have that screwdriver? And luckily I do, because of all the equipment for little ones. But it's like, what a deeply humbling experience that was, because we were on such a roll for 6 years of like 9 times a week therapy. You guys all made it fun and playful, and we just kept going, and she kept breaking through boundaries that everybody else said she would never get through. And we had such an awesome momentum, and then it came to this like screeching halt. And I'm so grateful that I was there for so many years through hundreds of hours of therapy to know at least what you were talking about, because I have an education. I can't imagine what it's like for other mothers who weren't afforded the opportunity to be in, PT and OT and speech and all of these things, and then be home, working from home, doing it too, not easy with e-learning and all that. But then also with this, you're like, I need to keep this going. They're all doing great. We need to keep it going. And it's really an intense feeling. I just from a parent's perspective, where I was like, am I doing enough? Am I able to make up for what she would otherwise have with you and with, Diane and other therapists? Am I going to at least be able to maintain some form of baseline of her like success level so far? And it's so stressful.
Oh, I mean, I don't have children. I think like stay-at-home parents who are doing the e-learning, working therapy, all like, I can't imagine. And there were like days where I would be on calls with parents and they were getting and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we're one click from crying. We are one click from losing our shit.
And I'm like, I don't want to be like just another like stressor. And there were days where parents would call and be like, I cannot today. I'm like, got it.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Like, and you just, I mean, this year was just, nobody knew what we were doing right or wrong, any of it. It was like, we were all just getting through the day. And I do have to say, I'm like really, really proud of like all my families, because the kids who have come back, sometimes we lost some ground, but we're making it up, and everyone did their best.
Yeah.
Like that, everyone tried. And that's what we're asking these kids to do. We just want you to try. We may not kill it. We all tried. And like, that's all I can ask of my patients. That's all I can ask of my patients' parents. Like, we're all just trying. We're all trying our best.
All we can ask of ourselves. And that's truly what makes me eventually fall to sleep at night, when I'm like, all the things I didn't do. But like, yeah, that was really intense. I'm so glad Ava's back with you at the clinic, and we're going to get back into the aqua PT. We're just we're on the wait list now, because that was hugely helpful.
Yeah.
I just felt like, God, man, I wish I could be a teacher. I wish I knew how to do that. I wish I could be, you know, a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, a chef, a doctor.
Got a lot of demands on yourself.
But as a mom, like as mothers do, and we do it to ourselves so naturally without even thinking of it, where we're just like, why aren't we doctors?
Like that's a reasonable
chefs and like all these things. But ultimately trying and just getting through it. And I loved how I'm really excited about how agile so many people were, including you, in that switch to, okay, we're just going to meet, you know, this way, and we're going to do our best. And here's what we need ahead of time. If you have, like, you know, Diane would even say, like, if you have the markers or crayons, that you'd say, if you have these things, have them ready. Remember the day we were doing the temporary tattoos to keep her in the stretches, because I told you, I was like, her hips are really,
I'm like, hold that hand a little bit. Yep, put it right there. Now we gotta hold it.
It's really tight. So we're in this, like, what do you even call that? Was it like that's like a butterfly? What, that pose?
I call it butterfly.
I'm gonna call it butterfly. I don't know technical terms, but
Ring stick.
Her, like,
but most kids call it butterfly.
We call it butterfly. Stretching her arm out with, like, such an awesome idea. And I told you, I said, I got a bunch of, per your suggestion, these temporary tattoos on Amazon, and it was hugely instrumental in getting her to stretch. She
loves those tattoos.
Home thing. She loves the tattoos. There are good ones on Etsy. Good ones. Like the hum says, like the good one.
Oh.
But having her, you know, reach her arm out and then have to wait. We gotta wait till the tattoo is ready. So we're just gonna sit here in this really intense hip stretch.
Well, we can't lift up because the water has not set this tattoo yet.
We cannot move because the tattoo will not. Brilliant. And it's like being able to think of it from a child's vantage point. What would you want to do? She knows she's in a stretch. She knows what I'm doing, right? She's not like,
gotta make it
I'm so
tolerable.
fun and like doing temporary tattoos while I'm in this really intense hip stretch. She knows.
Yeah.
But she knows that we're both trying, and having you on it, you were really quick to respond to that and to continue that care, because coming up with it on my own was just not going to be beneficial. I tried, but and all of our therapists too. It makes me sad for especially children, since that's really your focus. There's so much to like human touch and connection, and
100%.
Can't stop thinking about these babies that you mentioned too, because, you know, God, give me the babies.
Give me all the babies.
Give me all the babies. They're so cute. Oh, we'll take care of all of them.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like that is what I enjoy the most, but also I'm like, well, all babies just didn't stop they didn't stop needing therapy. Like, so they're just not coming to therapy, and I reached out to the doctors because I was like, what's going on? Like,
yeah.
and the doctors were like, they're not coming in for well care visits. So when we bring up physical therapy, they're like, no, no, no. So I told them, I'm here. Whenever people are ready, I'm here.
I'm trying really hard to bite my tongue right now because I feel sort of like at a certain point, and again, I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. I don't even have a college degree, but I am not an expert in anything really. But as a parent, I think there comes a time in my life, at least there's been a couple moments where I had to weigh out the pros and cons, where I had to say, yes, this is risky. Like when we did stem cell, when we did that, blood, what was it? The transfusion.
Stem cells, yeah.
Well, transfusion. Like what's the risk and what could be the gain?
Yeah.
All my kids had COVID recently. And fortunately, it was a mild case. And I know that's not the case for everyone, but at a certain point after, like, what has it been, like a year, we're going to have to say, like we did before, like my mother did when, I'll never forget, when our neighbor called and was like, the kids down the street have chicken pox. We're all going over there, like everybody going over to the neighbor's house. We're all getting chicken pox at the same time.
Totally. Isn't it so funny that used to be what everyone did? Like, oh, great, we'll bring our kids over.
Yeah, it's, I was more terrified when Billy had pneumonia. Remember when I was in the and she had that what is that respiratory?
RSV.
She had RSV and got pneumonia in the hospital and was on, I don't say these things without knowing the risk, right? Yeah. I've been through some shit. But I think ultimately, after so much time, especially when it comes to therapy that could be hugely beneficial, when you're wearing like this mask and this mask.
I've got my face shield. I'm fully vaccinated.
You're masked. You are masked and you have cleaned everything within an inch of its life. And, at a certain point, we have to start saying the benefit to this it's got to be greater, right? At some point.
Yeah. I just keep telling the doctors, like, I'm vaccinated. I wear a face shield. I wear an N95 mask. I have a medical grade air filter. I clean there's no one else in here. It's not like there's a waiting room and there's other therapists. It's just me.
Yeah.
So but all I can do is try and provide the safest environment I can, let them know what I've got. And like I said, I'm like telling them, like, I'm here when the babies want to come back. I'm here and I'm ready.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're awesome. What is it like with all that stuff especially in something so physical?
So it's funny, initially it was tough. Like, cause I am so physical, I would get short of breath. I would be like sweating. And now I'm so used to it. Like, it's funny. I will walk outside with like my face shield and everything on when I leave, and I like forget, and then somebody looks at me like I'm nuts, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I have all this on. I've like gone to drink and like poured stuff on myself.
Like, let me just take off my layers of protection devices. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. I get used to the face mask, right? Because we wear it everywhere. But I still, to this very day, the one thing that hasn't changed is I feel like I can't see down. Like I can't see. I feel like a cat without whiskers. Maybe it's just because like I need glasses. I have all these. Yeah, I have my own things. But with just taking that one, it's like a sensory thing. It's got to be. I almost feel like my hands don't work the same. Like I'm in the grocery.
I feel like a lot of people. I think I had to start early, and I had to start a lot. I do it so many hours a day that it's like just got used to it. But it is funny. My face shields are starting to get like dented up a little bit. And I'm like, wait, like looking around.
You're like a mime on the thing, like, oh God, what a hero. You know what? Way to adapt. You adapt. And we
Well,
have to, right? You must adapt to survive. And you really knocked that out of the park. I told you that when you sent that email saying this is how I'm going to do things going forward. The first one that was like about telehealth, and then the second one about if you want to come back, and all the amazing measures you're going to take to keep this, what you said, a container, which I loved earlier.
my safe container.
Container clean and so full of love and all of the stuff. I mean, what else could, as a mother or a parent, like what else could we ask for?
Thank you. That's so nice of you to say. I'm glad you feel that way. I'm trying.
Well, that's why I keep sending my daughter, like, oh, hi girl, walk on that treadmill for 8 minutes. I think what you do is so important. What you've done for my family alone is
Thank you.
invaluable. The way that you not only have gotten her to like, just all through her different growth spurts, and these, every age is different, right? I mean, when you met
Yep.
her, she was a baby to 7 years old, and growing with her, adapting to all of those ages, and her interests, even
Yeah.
the way that you play to the interest to keep her doing what we need to do is, and I can only imagine from patient to patient that you are able to flip, to their age
Well, you
group.
got to know everyone's favorite TV show, what toys they're playing with. I got to have JoJo Siwa and Taylor Swift ready.
Yeah, but like, you're laughing. I am so in awe of what you guys do all the time, because you don't have to, as you said, you don't really have to. You could do,
Well,
well, as you said, you learned in school, like,
yeah,
in school they tell you that you need to make sure they check these boxes. Did you do these
yeah,
stretches? Did you do these 10 exercises on each side, and blah blah? But the way that you're going about it is truly, and from my experience, why, like, an enormous part of why my daughter is able to walk in a walker at school, feel successful. You piggyback on the things that I say that reinforce the fact that she is exactly who she's supposed to be, and that she is beautiful and strong and brave and absolutely capable and perfect just the way that she is.
perfect, just the way she is.
And you echo that, and the things that you tell her, I echo that, and we have this whole, really beautiful way of really co-parenting my child. But
I can't take that much credit.
you know what I mean? Like, well, it's like it takes a village, but I
Yeah.
think as a team, we're very fortunate to have you. I would love to get any more hot tips you have for parents during a pandemic, I love that word, or whatever, at home, with, if there's anything else. It's hard out there for a parent, especially with a disability. But if there was anything that you had to add. And then the last thing is, I just want your favorite PT story. Just your favorite. It's gonna be hard. I know. Look at her face.
No, like, yikes. Okay, well,
Okay, just go with the first one you thought of. We're gonna do a follow-up on this anyway, so.
okay. So, tips for parents during the pandemic. First of all, you're doing great. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. But I think this is like geared towards here in Chicago. Like, we are inside. And parents always think about, like, oh, we can go to the park, we can go for a walk, we can do these things. When you're inside, like, you gotta get, like, just how you were saying, like, have running races in the halls. Like, get all the couch pillows off and, like, have a crash pad. I know some people with nice couches are like, absolutely not, Kelly.
Or get a mattress, whichever one. We did this on my staircase the other day. Remember, you were a kid, slide down the staircase on a mattress?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the best. Forts?
It's just like, bring it back old school. Like, you've got to just move. I know it's so easy and so tempting to put kids in front of a screen because they'll behave and they'll sit still, but it's like, think about like those little things like you were talking about that you had so much fun doing, like even building the fort, the like picking up of the pillows, like carrying pillow, like trying to problem solve it, like that type of thing. It takes more effort for sure, but it's like your kids will like, they'll sleep better because they're worn out, like you were talking about with Jonas. Like just try and do like one thing a day to make kids move. Like even with technology, like there are so many funny yoga videos and like exercise videos that you can like literally type into YouTube, like princess yoga, and it'll like be a video.
That you gave us, Jonas still does it. He'll do 3 in a row. He loves it. And you're so
Yeah.
right about like the construction of when we built a fort last week. They were so psyched to I'll carry the sheets and I'll carry the pillows and I'll
Yeah,
do.
it's like it is work. It's all fun, but it's all
I had the best.
totally.
I mean, we know I'm a little bit childlike that way, but I like the fort building, the sliding down the stairs on a mattress. I love that. Taking that giant cardboard box I had from like, I don't know.
Oh, cardboard boxes, the best toy.
Cardboard boxes for days. Love it. We made that storefront and they painted it and then they pretended to have, it was like their children's store and we lined up behind it, but they named Rainbow Batman's children's store.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like painter's tape is like a therapist's best friend, but also can be a parent's best friend. Like it's like putting like an obstacle course on the floor. Like, okay, first you walk on this line, then you jump over these lines, then you like.
Wait, I haven't done that. I'm doing that. I'm doing that tomorrow.
Yeah, like I'll put different colors painter's tape. Like, okay, run to this color. Now jump to this color, jump to this color, jump to that color.
And like one part is lava, one part is like dragons or whatever.
Totally, the floor is lava. You can't touch it.
The floor is lava, and she would want to like hop over that. That's so funny. I love that idea.
But it's like some parents, especially in the city, they're like, we don't have equipment. We don't have this stuff. I'm like, okay, painter's tape. Like, here's what we can do. You know, you gotta, you do what you can with what you got, you know?
Absolutely, you have to. I love that idea. I'm so doing that.
Yeah, and just like one ball, it's like, okay, put the laundry basket up on the counter. Now we're shooting baskets. Now, like,
Yeah.
you know, like have them shooting baskets from different spots, like stand on a pillow cushion because it's not balanced and then shoot, you know?
Wait, pillow cushions because it's not balanced.
So it challenges them when they're balancing and they have to shoot. Play catch while one of them's on a pillow cushion because they're like, you're using your core. You're not just like locked.
I just did that thing like I did earlier when we were like talking about how Ava's going up the stairs, like hold your tummy tight. I think
you're like, oh, I'm gonna do mine.
I should also be standing on the pillow cushion. We're pillow cushions for everyone. We're all doing that tomorrow. We're gonna throw the ball and hold our core tight.
Yeah, each kid gets their own pillow cushion. Go get it off the couch, put it down on the ground, get on it, throw the ball between each other. Do like Foursquare or something, you know?
I'm such a huge fan. I took all their drawings that they've done from school. You know how they just like give you that folder like paper.
Yeah. It's like this big.
Has like one squiggle. Some has like just they scratched it out. They're like, here's the art. Some of it's like hanging in my walls.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of it's amazing.
But like, some of it's so amazing. But like, how am I going to throw away a squiggle? Like as a mother, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna be buried in paper if this is how it is. Like every piece is just deeply. Yeah. So now I have like stacks of paper. I put them all together on the floor and tape them, like flip the other side. So the white side, tape them together and made like a mural, like a blank slate.
Yep.
And then I showed them a YouTube video of what's it called in Miami? There's actually there's a lot of them that are, what is it called? In Miami, the Wynwood Walls or something like that, where it's like street art, where murals all over it, and they're incredible. And that's something that, Ava with the paintbrush and the easy hold gripper and I just like put out the paints with this gigantic piece of paper and was like, I showed them the video first and we painted a mural and we reused that paper, which made me feel solid, but we also had the best time. We were covered in paint, all of us. We're just doing the best we can.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're doing the best we can. I love that you sing that too, and you know that. Okay. What's your favorite, that first thing that pops to mind?
Okay. I'm gonna like,
This has to be impossible. It's like when people ask me, like,
I
what's
know.
your favorite song? I'm like, oh my God, I can't even, my brain erases and I can't even remember my name. So I
Right, right.
really logically need.
So I'm gonna tell this story just because it was like a big sort of like aha moment for me and like a turning point in my career. I had a patient, both his parents worked at Children's. They were both doctors. This is back when it was Children's, before it was Lurie's. And this baby had a stroke at home at a couple days old. But the parents were both doctors. They like saw it, knew what was going on, like went to the hospital immediately.
Oh my God, look at my chills. Like, how incredible. Do you see my
And
chills?
it was one of those things where what were like, it was so quick, but the parents knew. What if they didn't? What if they were at work and there was a nanny? What if the child was at, like, all these things that played into it? And so I was working with this child at probably like 2, 3 weeks old. And so we knew they had had the MRI, they knew where the damage was. So before the baby started like doing really anything, I mean, they were 3 weeks old, I started working with them. And so it was like, we did all the things because we knew where the damage was. It was like, okay, this is what that's going to control. We're going to start practicing those things because I knew, you know, the brain can remap to other areas.
Yeah, to know that, going at, like, what a gift to know that. I know that sounds
Yeah.
crazy. Also, as a mother of a child with a brain trauma, like, a gift to know that is.
Yeah. And it was like they were committed. I was like, okay, we know what we're dealing with. Let's try and get everything before they start compensating. Like, we can do this. So it was like immediately putting things in that hand, massaging that hand, having them look the direction where we knew there was going to be impairment. And I still to this day think it's insane because I think he graduated at like 15, 16 months and like no really symmetries, walking totally fine. And it was like,
Oh
to me, it was one of those things where it was like the human brain is amazing, like what it can do, and like just everything fell into place perfectly with the parents being there. They were willing to work on it, like, and it was like one of those things for me where it was like, I didn't tell them that, you know, it was like, okay, here, I know what we're dealing with. We're going to try and just everything I know would happen, we're going to try and stop it from happening before we're going to practice. And it was just unbelievable and really like eye-opening, like anything is possible. Like anything is possible, you know? And it was just, I didn't do it. It was just like setting up this environment so that this child's brain could just be like, okay, I got this, not a problem. I'm just going to put this here. Like, we're just going to rearrange things and I got it. It was just, it was incredible. And it really just made me like, if there's a goal parents want for a kid, I'm never going to say, no, that's not achievable. It's like, okay, we've got a lot of little steps till we get there. We're going to keep hitting little steps. You know what I mean? And I know there are doctors that are going to say that's never possible. That's not going to happen. Like, I just, after seeing that, I could never do that. It's like anything's possible, you know?
I love that. I mean, okay, so you handled that really well. You actually just like knocked it out of the park. Okay. I don't even know what to say. That's it. That's an incredible story. And the only reason I made that face, like the frowny face, was because you said that it's not like you did anything. Yes, you did. But it sounds like the team effort, the parents seeing
Totally.
the situation, but also being, readily available to do the exercises and all the things that you were saying were important, and then your care and preemptively trying to combat anything that could come by way. That's really, oh, I love that story.
Yeah, it's just knowing. It's, I say a lot of physical therapy, especially in babies, is like I have to set up the environment so that the easiest way to do it is the way I want it. What I'm trying to achieve. Because it's like, okay, you can do that. Like, just set up the environment, and like, it's really incredible what the human brain can do, you know?
That was the other thing I wanted to say, is that it really is. It, with Ava's MRI, when they said she had more blood on her brain than not, and looking at it, I was like, and when that one nurse I never saw again said that Ava would likely be brain damaged for the rest of her life, and have limited ability to do anything, and then just like exited.
I got my lunch now. I'll see you. Like, here's a bomb.
Just drop this on you. And I thought, like, and to your point, anything is possible. So what they said to me in those words, with, the diagnosis that we didn't get until she was 2, but any doctor's appointments, like, she'll likely barely be able to do anything. And I don't know. I honestly don't think it was just that I felt she could do so much more. I think I was just doing, it was like one step at a time. I was just doing.
Put one foot in front of the other. Like,
Accepting that as fact was just too big of a thing for me to think about at that moment. Honestly, it wasn't like I was just like pioneering a new way and like envisioning that she would be able to do all the things she does today. I couldn't even wrap my head around it. So what I could control and what I could do was like, what do we do today? And the little things that we do to get through that, so that I can give her the best care I possibly can, and she can meet her fullest potential. And that's all we ever want, right? For anybody. But to say these things when they're like, if they can't sit by 2, if they can't, these things, then they'll probably never. And this MRI looks like your child will never speak. Well, I mean,
yeah, I just feel like,
speak, but she'll give you some shit. She's like a smart ass, right? She's like, I had a doctor tell me she might not be able to speak at one point.
I don't know why they offer that information when you're not asking.
Yeah,
well, it's just like taking away people's hope. Like, it's hard for me because, I probably, the question I get asked the most is my kid gonna walk, and when will they walk? Oof. And it's like, sometimes I'm like, yes, they're gonna walk, it's fine. This is where I predict. If I don't know, I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna walk, but I can tell you we're gonna do everything we can, and we're not gonna give up. Like, that is what I can tell you, is that I'm not gonna give up.
And then we're gonna find any mode of transportation, and that's why
and they may not walk how we might like it to look,
or whatever.
We're gonna figure it out.
There are so many different ways, and that's why, in the last podcast that I sent you, when I said, every time Ava said to me, "Mommy, why can't I walk?" I almost, like, now that it's 7 years later, I almost take a little offense to it. I'm like, you are walking. You're in a walker and you're crushing it. Like, you just walk. You just walk the full length of the house. You've been walking at school all day in a walker, girlfriend. You are walking.
Yep.
You're walking.
And that's the perfect way to redirect. Like, you may not be walking how someone else walks.
Oh,
you are walking.
Right? Like, so if you're comparing yourself to your twin sister, who is like what they call an able-bodied, human, and you're going to look at her, what what an experience it must be for Ava to have a constant reminder.
Yeah.
I love the way they work together and the way they team up. And I just don't ever want them to compare each other. That's what my biggest fear, imagine this, it's like such a joke, but imagine that when I was pregnant with twin girls and I had just found out, everyone would say, oh, you know, I hope they don't look, you know, too much alike, because what if one's cuter than the other, or like something like that, where I was like,
Like,
I'm
what?
pregnant with two people. Like we're talking about, we don't know what you're talking about, but like
Yeah.
there are 3 hearts beating in my body right now, and that's all I can really think about. But
Yeah.
in my quiet moments, I would think, oh, what a weird thought, right? Like it would just be that seed of a thought that would grow in those quiet moments where I was like, oh gosh, what if that is a thing? How stupid.
And that's what, like, that's why I try and be so careful with words. Because it's like something that someone says, even though maybe even in the moment you dismiss it, I don't want to plant any seeds.
No.
Like, I want to only be planting positive seeds. And I mess up and I, you know, have hard days and whatever. But like, just you saying that, it just reinforces, like, we just have to be so careful with our words, especially with kids, because
It's,
they're absorbing everything, even when they're in
just
the room and not listening.
they just want to know it's okay. With my kids, with anything,
Yep.
they've been through some shit, you know, like moves, divorces, pandemics, like, you know,
Yep.
being in 2 different homes and being this age group, and also having a sister who's in a wheelchair sometimes that nobody else in this area is in a wheelchair, and they handle it like a team and beautifully. But I just feel like I'm gonna cry now. You take it over.
We made it pretty far.
I know we made it really far.
Let it out.
That's just such a sensitive one for me. It gets me like
Of course.
right away. We're probably gonna have to do a follow-up. Because I'm just gonna go sob really quick.
Let it out. Just let it out. Don't hold it in.
I'm just gonna sob really quick on my own. I am so grateful that you would even have this conversation with me. We all know I don't know shit about podcasts or like.
That's what I love. You're like, I'm gonna figure it out. We're all just figuring it out.
Yeah, but what I do know from life experience is that you have had an incredible journey, that you have a lot of knowledge that not only you didn't just learn it in school, you've logged 19 years of, how many hours would that be? 19 years of field hours with individuals, and my child included, and that there's a lot we could all learn from your experience. I love your perspective. I love that you get everybody's different, and that all we can really do, physical therapy for disabilities or physical therapy in general, it's imperative.
Yeah.
It's extremely important. And to understand that everybody's alignment and all of that stuff, it's just, we're all different. And the way that you take such unique, specialized, individualized care in each one of your patients is honestly incredibly inspiring.
Thank you. It's a learning process. I still have a lot to learn, and
That's
I'm learning every day from the kids, from their parents, from everything. So it's a joy to get to see Ava every week, and I'm just happy I'm part of the team.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, go team. Go team. Whew, you made me cry. All right. Well, fun. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. Well, I'll see Ava tomorrow and I'll let you know how she does.
Yeah, she's gonna tell you to bump up the speed on the treadmill, and it'll be like seconds.
We'll send you videos, don't worry.
Oh, you guys send me videos. You know I love the videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.